This program today is not going to be about the need for exercise. Everybody knows about that. What we're going to try to do in these next few minutes is show you how to get the most efficient, the most effective, and the most enjoyable form of exercise that's ever been developed. I didn't design it. I didn't figure it out because I happen to hate exercise. I don't like exercise. So I'm going to talk to people today that make up that audience in America, 90%, that don't exercise and don't care. Interestingly enough, some of these studies were made at Harvard Medical School a number of years ago, and it's been in the Reader's Digest, and you can read it. It tells about the people up there. They studied 17,000 of them. 90% of them did not exercise. The other 10% that did, they said what they did was pointless. And you'd say, no. Stick around for the next few minutes. We're going to show you not only a simple, effective, easy, enjoyable form of exercise. We're going to add a little humor to it as we go along, but the point is we want to try to teach you something you can do yourself at home. First of all, let me tell you that this particular device that we're going to tell you about today was something that I thought was dumb. D-U-M-B. I did not have any interest in it. My wife and I first saw it, and I had no interest in it. We were discussing exercise at home, and I didn't like to do exercise. I didn't want to do exercise. She came home one day from work and told me we were going to walk around the block. And I said, why? She said, because my feet swell every day, and I have to take diuretics and pain pills, and they hurt, and I had to put my feet up, and I've tried to tell my doctor I want to get some circulation improvement, and he says, your mother had it, your grandmother had it, thank God you got pills, and she wasn't buying it. And all she would tell me is that we have to walk around the block. And I said, but I don't want to walk around the block. And she'd say, but I don't want to go alone. And I said, but I don't want to go at all. And we got into arguments all the time about this. She'd say, don't you love me? I said, that's not the issue. And I can tell you when it comes to serious arguments, whenever you get into one with your wife, you sit down there in the living room and you argue and you argue and you think you've won it, and you go to the bedroom and find out you've lost, and then you're back out there in the living room again. That's serious discussion, and we were having that kind of discussion at our house. When we first saw this, she was saying, I want to get it. I want you to buy it for me. And I said, I don't want to buy it. It's too expensive. It's dumb. I don't want it. I don't like the guy that was teaching us what it was because he was a wrestler. You ever look at one on TV? You don't want to look like one of them. You don't want to act like one of them. I was turned off. We went home with the information, put it in the drawer. I hope she'd never discuss it. Several weeks later, she starts in again saying, I want this, would you get it for me? And I lost that argument. So the result was that I bought it, we took it back to the bedroom, and she started to bounce up and down on it with my daughter Sonny, and they were back there laughing and giggling, and I'm thinking I've got the most expensive toy in the world. And after about a half hour, she quit messing around with it. The next morning, since she has to get up early in the morning, she reached over and got me by the shoulder. I don't wake up at 5. She does. And she said, honey, would you come around and help me? And I said, sure. What's the matter? And she said, I'm so sore, my eyelids are sore. I said, oh, well, I'll help you up. And I helped her up. And the first thing she said to me when I got her out of bed was, you ought to use this, honey. It'll be good for you. And I said, oh, come on. And so she put it right over between me and the shower, and I had no way to get around it. So for the next 3 weeks, I use it like this. And that got her upset when she caught me doing that one day. And so she fussed at me until I finally decided I'll try it one time. And I tried it, and I didn't want to overdo it. She's in the kitchen. Nobody sees me do this. It's dumb. I didn't want to do it. But I stood here like this for about 3 minutes. Much to my surprise, it woke me up. I couldn't wake up because I was drowsy. I had so much toxins and poisons in my body because the business I was in, I was breathing lacquer thinner and paint thinner, and I couldn't wake up for over an hour. Many folks are drowsy when they wake up in the morning. They can't get it together. They want to get a cup of coffee or have a cigarette or whatever. I didn't smoke and didn't drink coffee. I was just drowsy. 3 minutes and you're totally wide awake. That I didn't understand, except I knew that I was awake. That I couldn't argue with. So I was so excited I got off and I went to the kitchen and I told Edith, hey, this thing really wakes you up. And she said, oh, you finally used it. And I said, yeah, I'll get my quarter's worth out of it somehow. And that's how I got started. I didn't have any information on this. There were no books on this subject. The people that I saw talking about this were all running about jumping and jogging. I have no interest in it, none. But it woke me up, and so I used it daily for one reason, because it would wake me up in the morning. I kept using it 3, 4, 5 minutes just because it would wake me up. And within a matter of about a week, something next began to happen. I didn't know that backache was the second largest ailment in the world, second only to colds. You can get over a cold, just a few days and you're over it. But a backache puts more people out of work than any other one single ailment we have in the USA. Cost us more money because of time off. Standing here like this, I'm bouncing, and my back is starting to quit hurting. I don't understand it, but I like it. And I have shown this to audiences that have backache all over the United States, halfway around the world, and it actually will relieve back pain in about 1 minute. And if we had a big audience here, there'd be people in there that hurt, and we'd pull one out that had pain in the back, and we'd actually show it to them. But it will relieve pain virtually anywhere in your body, and we'll get a chance to show that perhaps a little later in this program. But I was going to my doctor for over a year. It's been over $5,000, and I was not getting any better. By 3 weeks, my back was well. That's when I decided that something was unusual, and by the time 6 weeks came by, that is when I decided my wife was extremely smart, the most brilliant woman I ever met. Reason? She saved my life. I didn't have pain anymore. I could bend over, I could stoop, squat, carry, go up and down ladders. Didn't problem. And that has saved me over the last 15 years almost $80,000 in doctor bills. My doctor, C.W. Benedict, good friend of our family. We know him well and love him. C.W. He called me one day and said, I ain't seen you in a long time. Where you been? I said, my back's well. He said, can you come see me? I'd like to visit with you. I said, okay. So I got over there, and the first thing he said to me was, you got any of those with you? I said, what you got, a back problem, Doc? And he says, yep, I sure do. My own doctor had back problems, and he was my first doctor to get one of these because it helped his back to stop hurting, and today we have over 2,000 physicians in every field you can imagine in the United States that use these. Many of them prescribe them simply because it works.